my name is Sloan and welcome to my YouTube channel. I have so many plants to repot and honestly it's enough that I've been kind of putting it off and it just keeps getting worse. So today it's Sunday morning and we're just gonna get into it and do a little bit of a chatty repot with me, and I'm gonna get some of these plants repotted right now. So we're starting with this Philodendron Brasil, which I was growing in water for a good chunk of time after I kind of killed it, but not really because it was really underwatered. And I put it in this little white pot, and at the time I thought maybe it was too small and I put it in here anyway. And like basically immediately roots started growing at the bottom. So we're gonna go ahead and take it out, and I'm going to actually split it up and put it in these green pots. And the soil it's in is still good. So, goodness. And it's really dry. Oh gosh, okay. So the pot had like a mesh thing. Oh my gosh, it's already wrapped around. But the pot had like, you know, a little mesh thing at the bottom, and it's already grown like into the mesh thing, which I guess is a con of using, oh my gosh, the mesh. And fun fact about me, it's not that fun. I hate repotting inside. I really thought about doing this outside, but all my neighbors would hear me and I didn't feel like doing that today. It's kind of a crapshoot. Like sometimes people are outside quite a bit on the weekends and sometimes they're not. And so I was kind of like looking outside this morning, like, are people going to be outside? Like, can I film outside? And it doesn't matter. But like also, not only like are my neighbors going to hear me and be like, what is she doing? But also like if people are mowing, I'm not going to want to mow outside or repot outside, that kind of thing. I made I never should have potted this in that tiny pot. Now I have to like split this up because I kind of want to have two. But all the roots are all tangled, so I don't know how well this is truly going to work out for me. The other thing about repotting inside, I mean, there's just a million reasons why repotting inside is kind of a mess. Or kind of bad, but the fact that it's messy is probably the worst. This grew so much in the month it's been potted up in soil. It's kind of crazy. Oh gosh, we've got one separated. Exciting. I don't need to separate like every piece individually. I just need to somehow get some in one pot and some in another. And I think there's like 6 or so pieces. Sweet. Okay. That's a good chunk right there. Oh my gosh. This is great. Okay. And that's one big piece. So we will leave this one big piece right there. And you know what? I think that will be 2 pieces and this will be like 3 or something. Okay. Move this out of the way and we'll get into the actual repotting. Look how long those roots are. So again, like I mentioned, the soil was perfectly fine. So we're just gonna reuse a good chunk of it. And by a good chunk of it, I mean all of it. Why not? All right. In an attempt to make indoor repotting less messy, I decided to break out the bowl. It's not working that great. It would be less messy if I actually bought like a repotting mat, but I just don't want to. Maybe I will at some point. But I'm really happy with how this Philodendron Brasil is doing. Like clearly it's, you know, becoming quite luscious and has really come back from the brink of death. Oh, I put too much too much. Yeah, and I thought this would also be a good time to kind of catch up on life. I think the last time I made a repot with me video was like in the fall. So it's been a while. I have mentioned in the past that I'm in grad school. I'm still in grad school. I'm in the summer semester right now, which is so far a lot easier than the spring semester was, which is very nice. But I say that I haven't taken any tests yet. And that'll be like the either rude awakening or it will continue not being that bad. I don't know. And just for those of you that don't know, I'm in grad school fungus net. I have a whole conversation that I want to talk to you guys about pests. Also, I feel like I haven't been looking at the camera like at all. I've just been looking at my pots. I don't know why that is. Probably because I'm focusing on what I'm doing. But anyway, so I'm in grad school for, I'm getting my master's in analytics. And I'm currently working as a data scientist. So it's kind of, one of my undergrads is in analytics as well. So I'm kind of continuing with what I have been doing. And so I know I've got to go get my dog from outside. He knows how to open doors, if the latch is not super strong, like this one. Anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. I'm still, doing what I enjoy doing for school, which is good. And it has been good, but it's also a lot of work to, work full-time and do grad school and, do all the things you have to do when you own a house and are just straight up living, laundry and whatever else, dishes, and I've been trying to do more landscaping outside this year, which takes a good chunk of time, and the YouTube channel. It can be a lot, but I love being busy, so that's why I am trying to do all these things. I don't have to have a YouTube channel, but I really like it, so here I am. But so far it's been going well. I am looking forward to it being done though. And I'm in the second semester. So it'll be done eventually. And it'll be good. I don't know if I will go do more school when I'm done or not. I could always go get my PhD or a second master's or something. But I don't know. I'll never say never with that. But currently, I don't think it'll happen for a good while. What I don't like about how I split this up is that that's definitely a lot less full, and it was so beautiful and full before, but it'll be okay. Let's get, this one actually will be more full probably, it looks like. We'll get this one potted up. I've just got my tub of soil right here that is pre-mixed. But anyway, grad school is going well, for the most part. All right, that should be good. Yeah, this one's definitely going to be a bit more full and more trailing. And where I am putting these is in my dining room. I have a macrame hanger that these are gonna go in, and we've had the macrame hanger hanging up since last summer, and I haven't put any plants in it because I didn't know what to put in it. It doesn't get the most light, so I needed it to be something that was going to be low light tolerant. And for a while we were going to put herbs up there, and we kind of went the route of, instead I put grow lights in the kitchen underneath the kitchen cabinets, and we're going to put herbs in there, which will be, more readily available for cooking anyway, since it'll be in the kitchen instead of the dining room. And I also just think they're going to be so much happier. Herbs need so much light, and they're gonna be happier like directly under a grow light versus I was sort of trying to figure out how to finagle hanging a grow light above the macrame hanger, and it just seemed like a lot more complicated to find something that was going to look good since it was hanging on the wall versus just under cabinet lighting, essentially, is what I now have in my kitchen, but it's grow lights. So it's going to be great. I think this is almost done. Hopefully, it should be happy with more room to grow, but hopefully it's not going to be super mad at me. There's this one. And then, so the macrame hanger holds 3 pots. So I'm going to do a third, and this is Philodendron Reindeer Pedatum, I believe. It's from one of my, I think it was my first plant dealer plant box opening. I'll link it in the cards if you haven't seen it. And I'm kind of seeing the roots come out the bottom, so we'll give it a look. And I really like the soil mix that Jenna, the plant dealer, has it in. So I'm going to not disturb it because there's no reason to. And yeah, look at that. Oh, that's why repotting inside is bad. But hopefully you can see it from all the way back there that, it's getting root bound. I wouldn't say it's like in dire need of a repot, but this repot is a little bit for aesthetics along with, it being necessary for some of the plants I'm doing today. And when I tell you my repot list is long, I mean, it's like 30 plants. It's crazy. And I don't know if you guys remember a video that I posted. It was like a plant activities video. I'll link that as well if you haven't seen it. But in that video, I showed you some of the plants that I repotted then. And I repotted my Philodendron gloriosum. And the Philodendron gloriosum is a crawler, so it kind of crawls along the ground in the wild. But in this case, a pot. And it already needs repotted. And this is why I never wanted to get a philodendron that was a crawler. But here we are because they're so pretty. And their growth pattern is so unique. But it's definitely a lot of work to figure out how to deal with them versus a plant that, like this would be a climber, a plant that trails. And it's definitely going to have a lot of room in this pot to grow. And what I like about it is that I can kind of have this against the wall and it can kind of just grow up the wall and like against the macrame hanger. So I think this plant will enjoy that. We'll attempt to get some of this soil back in here. But on the topic of pests, I mentioned earlier that I have a good chunk of things to talk about. So I'm dealing with spider mites for the first time, and I found it in my IKEA cabinet, which I'm still in the process of setting up. It's currently, eventually I want to get nice shelves for it, and fans are kind of a necessity for an IKEA cabinet for airflow. And then what would be most useful is a timer for the lights, because every day I have to go upstairs and turn the lights on and off manually, and it's just hard to remember, and a timer would be really nice eventually. But anyway, so I found spider mites originally on my Philodendron Brasil, which was kind of surprising because in the bottom level of my cabinet, I had a Calathea, a Stromanthe trio star, which is prayer plant, and 2 alocasias, and I think that's it. So of all of the plants in that bottom level, other than the philodendron, are very spider mite prone. But I think it was a white Calathea. I think that they originated from that, which is really unfortunate. And frankly, I think I probably bought the plant with spider mites, and I've never had spider mites before. And I've had thrips, and the thing with thrips is that they move really slowly, but they move, and so you can tell you have them. And I think the spider mites, because I saw white specks and they weren't moving, I thought that the Calathea was fine, but I think it had spider mites the whole time. Anyway, here's this plant. It will lean against the wall and then it will look a little bit less crazy, I promise. So this, I will finish the spider mite story, don't worry, but I want to introduce this plant. So this is a variegated maranta that I also bought in the plant activities video, and it's in this smaller pot, which I love. It came with it, but I have issues where I cannot keep plants in smaller pots happy. So it doesn't look great, and it's my fault because it needs to be in a bigger pot so it will stay more moist. I'm making quite the mess. But anyway, so we're going to put this maranta in the pot that the Philodendron Brasil was just in, and I don't need the tray. So we're gonna get this out, and then it's going to be much happier, I'm certain. So anyway, the spider mites. So actually, before I get into that, I am going to mix up a more moisture retentive soil. So what I like to do, so many fungus gnats, that's a conversation too. But what I like to do with my prayer plants is use my like regular soil mix, but also mix in a more like moisture retentive soil. So I'm using Miracle Grow's moisture control, which it says it has some ingredient in it that like helps prevent over and under watering, which just like that doesn't make any sense. But I have some plants that are potted with this stuff and they're so happy. My rattlesnake calathea is potted in straight Miracle Grow moisture control, like no additives whatsoever, and it is so happy. So I don't know. I don't pretend to understand how it works, and in fact I'm pretty skeptical, but sometimes if things are working, I'm not gonna ask too many questions, I suppose. But I'm pretty sure I bought the calathea with spider mites. It was like 25% off when I bought it. It had white specks on it, and I thought that the white specks, the tubers in marantas are kind of disgusting. That's what that looks like. I feel that way about snake plants too. They kind of gross me out. But yeah, long story short, pretty sure I bought it with spider mites and I just didn't realize. And I treated it but I didn't like treat it with much. I sprayed it down and thought that would be good, and then I stuck it in my greenhouse cabinet. And my Philodendron Brasil actually had like spider webs really coming off of it, and then my Alocasia Black Ninja also looked like it definitely had spider mites as well, but they were just kind of crawling around and they were red. So I think that the white could be the spider mite eggs. If you know more about spider mites, feel free to like comment below and tell me like how you notice them other than the webs. And don't worry, I'm gonna cut off these dead leaves. Actually, I'll do that right now because they do look pretty bad. So anyway, I've been treating everything in the IKEA cabinet for spider mites, and then everything in my entire collection, just because I have been a little bit lax in like my preventative care lately anyway. So it's just good to treat things occasionally. And I have been chatting about this more on my Instagram, so if you are wanting to be more up to date with like what's going on in my life, definitely follow my Instagram. It's linked down below. But I think this maranta is going to be a lot happier now. Look at how cute. Oh, it's so cute. Okay. I'm super happy about that. And then I can use the pot for something else. But I'm going to go ahead and dump this back in. And now we're going to get my peace lily. Here she is. So I bought this peace lily back in the winter at some point, and it needed repotted when I bought it, and I just didn't. And it clearly looks terrible. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is how big the pot is. This is how much soil. This poor plant. Wow. So I'm not going to disturb it at all. I'm going to look. I've bought plants from this place before and like later on found like netting. Actually, I'm not going to. It's too like wrapped up in there. What an experience. I didn't even get the pot I'm going to put this in. One moment. Here's the pot. It looks like a coffee mug and it sits on my coffee bar. This is quite the beast. It's going to be so much happier. So much happier. So for this, I am again going to use some of the moisture control potting mix because I just cannot keep this thing watered. I think. I might actually just use up kind of what I have. I am making such a mess. I kind of regret doing this inside. Goodness. And yeah, you can't see my face, but that's just going to have to be okay. So anyway, I've been dealing with the spider mites. Great times. And my fungus gnat situation, I feel like I have tried everything. I've used beneficial nematodes. I've been using mosquito bits and watering them in with my water lately. What else have I tried? Oh, you know, the yellow sticky traps, which I absolutely hate. They look so terrible. And I'm really over the fungus gnats. I know to an extent it's part of owning plants. But I am really quite sick of it. And so I have decided to try systemic, which I don't like using systemic. Essentially the way it works, it's like a powder that you mix in to your plant soil. And the powder essentially like both turns your plant into like poison for pests. So if you have a pest like thrips, and the thrips eats the leaves, then it kills those bugs. And it also kills the larva of the plant. So that's how it's useful for fungus gnats. But systemic also, like it kills everything in your soil from what I understand. So it kills any beneficial bugs, which some people like don't have a problem with. I mean, I think a lot of people don't want any bugs in their house. But like springtails, the thing about springtails is they don't really leave your plant. You never see them. And springtails are really good for your plant's soil. And so I would prefer to keep the, nice plants or nice pests in my soil and not kill them if I can. But I'm over the fungus gnats. I can't do it. So all of my plants are getting treated with systemic, and it's just going to have to be how it is. The other thing about systemic is that I have done some research to understand, if you treat a plant with systemic and then your dog, if they were to eat your plant leaves, what does that do? And from everything I can find, it should be fine. And my dog doesn't really eat my plants, so that was my worry originally against, not using systemic. That was a big worry of mine. So hopefully that gets rid of my fungus gnat situation. I don't know. I am just very over it. That's the best way for me to put it. But I'm really hoping this peace lily will live a much happier life now. I am really regretting doing this inside. I'm making a much bigger mess than I swear I usually do when I film these. I feel like it's usually not as bad, but what can you do? So, I'm actually out of soil. So I think I'm going to call it quits for now because I'll have to mix up another batch of soil, which I have a video on my soil mix. I don't know if it's out yet, but if it's not, it will be out soon, and if it is out, I will link it for sure. But I want to thank you so much for watching. This was a little bit chaotic and a little bit short, but I have like 30 more plants to repot, so there can definitely be more of these if you enjoy it. I also really love when people give me questions to answer in these kinds of things, so occasionally I ask for questions on my Instagram, and definitely follow me on Instagram if you'd be interested in that, or just straight up comment below like things you want me to talk about in these videos, and I can definitely make it happen. So again, thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye!